everyone, it's Claudia, and welcome to Take a Moment to dot dot dot. And that represents the new topic that I bring to you each weekday that I hope will encourage and inspire you to, pause for a moment, think about what I'm saying, and maybe even tweak perspective a little bit. Today is take a moment to be flexible. I have learned that the older I'm getting, the more flexible I'm becoming, believe it or not, in terms of dealing with people, in terms of dealing with life, in terms of, letting things just happen. And it's funny, there's a saying that, the older you get, the more set in the way in your ways you are. But I'm finding that's not the case. And I believe it's because I have allowed myself to be transformed by God. I've allowed Him to do a great work in me to change my ways. I mean, I used to be so focused and so fixed, and this was the way it was supposed to be. And I didn't allow things to be, I didn't keep myself open to being flexible and looking at things maybe in a different way, which is quite the opposite of what the way I am now. And it's kind of interesting because the fact that I am keeping myself open, I'm really being enlightened to things. I'm seeing things from a different perspective on many things, many topics. And but a lot with people too. I'm allowing myself to accept people more of who they are. And I don't have to try to make people the way I am. God created us all as individuals, and we're all unique and have wonderful gifts and talents and personalities. And I'm really learning to flex and be flexible and just enjoy people for who they are. So I wanted to use a couple of scriptures today about being flexible. And one is out of 1 Corinthians 9:22, which is, to the weak I became weak. I have become all things to all people, so that by all possible means I might save some. Now, that might seem like a contradiction to something we all probably all know well. It's like, well, you can't be all things to all people. But I take this to mean because we are all individuals, we have to meet people where they are, get a sense of who they are, what they believe, how they think. And like I said, not forcing our own opinions on people, but just becoming a person that can understand who they are, be empathetic toward them, have compassion toward them, but listen to them and get a sense of why they are the way they are and who they are. And it makes a difference. So we can come into their um, domain, come into their world, and be able to have open conversations and be able to be flexible. And hopefully, the other person will realize we're not out to pressure them or to force our opinions on them, but hopefully have an open dialogue and just be able to accept people for who they are. And, there will be hopefully shifts along the way in both directions, either myself or them. But that flexibility, that being open is so critical to in relationships and being able to move with what's happening and not force ourselves on anyone or our opinions on anyone. The other scripture I want to use is out of Romans 12:2, which is, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. I mean, when we accept Jesus into our hearts, we've already made the decision we need to be changed. It's just that simple. And he will. And we have the mind of Christ. We do. And we have to be willing to take on his mind, to take on his character, to take on his ways. And we need to be flexible enough to understand that the way it was we had been doing things before wasn't working. So we need to be flexible enough to be able to change and understand what God's will is for our lives and go after his will once we press in and pray and understand and let that still small voice of his speak to us and where we're to go and how we're to do things. So it's so important to that we not dig our heels in, but to stay open and to be flexible so that we can really have a fuller life, I believe, and just enjoy those in our lives and those who are coming into our lives. So today I encourage you to take a moment to be flexible.